Hello again, friends. Welcome to Gamecock Central Radio. Baseball season is upon us. Emerson Phillips joined by Gamecock great Kip Bouknight. Kip, the 2000 winner of the Golden Spikes Award. And Kip, Gamecock fans very excited about this new season that gets underway today. We got a 4 o'clock first pitch with UNC Greensboro. Gamecocks ranked in the top 5 in the nation in virtually every major national poll.
Yeah, this is a fun time, and it's a fun time of year. It's obviously baseball season is here, and South Carolina fans are certainly going to be excited. We got a beautiful weekend for baseball, and playing a team that's certainly going to be ready to play the Gamecocks. And I just think it's a lot of high expectations for this team, and quite frankly, it should be. I mean, this is a team that's bringing back a lot of starters, and certainly a great staff, and I think it's going to be a great year for South Carolina baseball. I truly do.
Season preview of Gamecock baseball here on Gamecock Central Radio. Emerson Phillips with Kip Bouknight. Kip, before we get into a full preview of this year's Gamecock team, let's talk about the opening weekend opponent here. UNC Greensboro comes in, and this was the best hitting team in college baseball last year, Kip. They hit .341 as a team, and that was the top team batting average in the country.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly going to have to pitch well. I think that they can swing it. I mean, I don't care what conference you're playing in. If you hit .341 as a team, that's pretty impressive. So, I think it goes back to some things we talked about last year, though, Emerson. These guys have just got to pitch to their strengths. They got to be who they are. Hopefully, Clark Schmidt will come out and do a good. Really, all the pitchers, especially the starters, but just come out and locate the fastball down in the zone and pitch to contact. We really need those starters getting us deep into the game. I think that's important, especially even early in the year, and just getting their innings in, and hopefully they can come out and throw 80 to 100 pitches and make it to the 7th or 8th inning. I mean, that's their goal. Should be your goal every time as a starter.
Gamecocks opening it up with a 4 o'clock first pitch Friday against UNC Greensboro. 2 o'clock start Saturday, 1:30 first pitch on Sunday. And Kip, a couple of weeks ago, Chad Holbrook announced the Gamecocks weekend starters. It'll be Clark Schmidt, the Friday starter, 9-5 a year ago, preseason All-American from D1 Baseball for the National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association and others. 3.5 ERA last year, 129 strikeouts, and that's the second most among returning pitchers in the NCAA, just 29 walks last year for Clark Schmidt. So he'll be the Friday starter, Kip, and then it'll be Will Crow returning from Tommy John surgery, a freshman All-American in 2014. He was 8-3 that year with a 2.75 ERA, and he won 3 games in 2015 before the injury sidelined him. Crow, and we can talk more about him, Kip, he pitched a little bit last year with the Blowfish. So he's had, basically 2 years to recover now. So he'll be the Saturday starter. And then on Sunday, it'll be Adam Hill, freshman All-American last year, also a member of the SEC All-Freshman team, 7-0 with a 3.53 earned run average and an opponent's batting average of .208 last year. That was 4th best in the Southeastern Conference. So, Kip, how long do you think Holbrook, stays with this 3-way rotation? Do you think it'll be Schmidt Friday, Crow Saturday, Hill Sunday? Is that set in stone, or is that subject to change?
Well, I mean, I do. I think I think it will stay. The only thing I could potentially see switching is maybe Schmidt and Crow, but Schmidt deserves to be there. I mean, Crow's an emotional guy, and we see a little bit from Clark Schmidt, but I think of Crow being a Friday night guy. But there's really no reason whatsoever to make a flip, I don't think, unless, Schmidt just underperforms. But I don't really expect that at all. Schmidt's coming off a great year. The only thing that can be a little bit tough is there's a lot of film on him now, So if there's any tendencies that he has, he's certainly going to have to make sure that he can make adjustments pitch by pitch and hitter by hitter. But honestly, you're talking about what could be arguably one of the best staffs in all of baseball, in college baseball this year. I really think this is an opportunity for South Carolina to pitch really, really well, field their position really well, and get some timely hitting, and they could easily wake up and be in Omaha this year. I really believe that. I think that it's their goal every year. To be honest with you, last year I did not expect that team to go to Omaha. I didn't think they had enough tools and pieces in place to go. But dadgummit, if they didn't surprise me and almost they came pretty close. I know they lost the first 2 games against Oklahoma State in the regionals, or super regionals, I should say. But this team, I do believe, has the depth for sure, especially in the pitching staff, and that's certainly going to bode well, and has boded well for South Carolina in prior seasons. My biggest question mark is, can they hit enough? That's the kicker, is can they hit enough? And I know if they've got the pitching and defense like I've seen, it could really just come down to timely hitting. And we certainly see South Carolina win a couple national championships with, not the Bronx Bombers. They had some timely hitting. So hopefully this is the year for that to come back again.
A lot of folks who follow college baseball for a living, college baseball experts, are saying that South Carolina could have the best pitching staff in the country. And it's not just the strength of the starting pitching. Kip, you think about going into last year, the Gamecocks knew they would be without Will Crow, and that was considered a major setback at the time. Crow was expected to be the ace of the staff last year. That was before the Gamecocks knew what they had with Clark Schmidt and Adam Hill, who had tremendous years a year ago, and Gamecock starting pitching was fantastic last year. Figures to be even better this year with Will Crow now the Saturday starter and back in the lineup. And Kip, it's bullpen depth as well that is one of the reasons that people think the Gamecock pitching staff will be among the best in the country. Tyler Johnson, the only Gamecock pitcher to make the coach's preseason All-SEC team. And, he started a game in the postseason last year. The Gamecocks won 4 straight elimination games in the regionals, wound up advancing to the Supers, and lost to Oklahoma State. A good Oklahoma State team that had rolled through the Clemson Regional and then came down to Columbia and beat the Gamecocks to advance to Omaha. So Johnson anchors the bullpen as the key reliever. Josh Reagan is back. Reed Scott is back. Cody Morris returns from Tommy John surgery as well, Kip. So Gamecock pitching is loaded, top to bottom, front to back, starting pitching and the bullpen. A lot of depth there.
It is a lot of depth, and I think when you have that amount of depth going into a season, Emerson, it's very, very important to make sure you manage that depth and manage those arms to make sure they're fresh throughout the season, especially the last half to 3/4 of the season. That for me is the most important thing I'm going to watch in the first 6 weeks of this season, is how the staff is managed, because it's important to make sure that Will Crow, even though it's been 2 years, that is a long time. He has come back, but I do think that anytime you come back and pitch competitively after having Tommy John, there's going to be that setback period of potentially having some dead arm, going through a dead arm phase. And I think that it's important to make sure that they monitor Will Crow's pitch count big time. He doesn't need to be throwing 120 pitches against Clemson at the 1st of March. And I mean, they know that. They certainly know that. And I know Coach Holbrook, Coach Myers are going to do a wonderful job of protecting him and doing that. So it's just, with the depth you have, I mean, I just think of this season being able to see box score lines of, okay, Friday night, Clark Schmidt throws 8 innings. Boom. Tyler Johnson comes in for a 3-out save. Saturday, Will Crow throws 7 innings. Then you bring in Cody Mincy, and you bring in Tyler Johnson for another 3-out save. And then comes Sunday, you get 6 or 7 from Adam Hill, and then you bring in Josh Reagan for 2, or maybe he finishes it with the last 3 innings. I mean, when you've got 3 or 4 guys that we truly know or have proven that they're good in the bullpen, that's huge for South Carolina. And I think that they need to make sure that they use those guys in the right way. Don't burn them out early on in the season. Make sure they're good and fresh for that last half of the season. And hopefully they can hit enough to where they can go to some other guys in the first 6 weeks to kind of find out who else they have. Because, as you know, injuries happen, or maybe somebody underperforms, or maybe you have to win 4 straight in a regional and you have to get a guy to make a spot start. And if he hadn't pitched in 6 weeks and he's having to make a spot start, it's a big difference. It's not good. But if he's been used to being in the action, he's in there. So those first 6 weeks, I think it's important for them. We know what we got in those 7 guys we mentioned on the staff, but who else is out there? And that they're certainly going to do a good job, I'm sure, of trying to find who's the other 2 or 3 out there, because it sure would be nice to have a 10-man, 12-man pitching staff as opposed to just 6 or 7 guys.
Opening weekend of college baseball, and we're here on Gamecock Central Radio with a season preview for the 2017 Gamecocks. I'm Emerson Phillips, Gamecock legend. Kip Bouknight with me throughout the season here on Gamecock Central Radio, and we invite you to download the Gamecock Central Radio app that's on the App Store and on Google Play. It allows you to listen to our podcast for free on your cell phone anywhere you receive cell phone service. The podcasts are free. The app is free. You can subscribe to our podcast. Search for Gamecock Central Radio. You'll find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and other popular services, or just visit radio.GamecockCentral.com. So, Kip, starting pitching is good. It figures to be, or to have the potential to be very good with Will Crow returning to the starting lineup, and the bullpen may turn out to be better than the starting pitching. So, real reasons for optimism for Gamecock baseball coming into 2017, and that's why a lot of folks have got the Gamecocks ranked in the top 5 in the nation. In fact, South Carolina is in the top 5 in every major poll that is out right now. So, Kip, let's turn our attention to the offense here. Questions about the offense, but certainly some key players returning, including Alex Destino, who was second-team preseason All-SEC as named by the coaches. He led the team with 10 home runs a year ago. He will anchor the Gamecock batting order. And another player that the Gamecocks are excited about is catcher Chris Cullen, whom Chad Holbrook says has put on 25 pounds of muscle this offseason, had a solid fall ball, hitting the ball, Kip, and Holbrook thinks that Cullen is ready to take on a bigger role offensively. So Destino is back. Chris Cullen figures to be improved this year. Plenty of pieces to work with offensively.
Yeah, it is. And again, I mean, I think it's important for guys like Chris Cullen to step up because you want the Alex Destinos, you want that guy not to have to be pitched around. We want it to be a situation where John Jones, hopefully he started off red hot and he went into a little bit of a slump throughout the rest of the year. But guys I look for, I mean, Madison Stokes is coming back. He was a 300 hitter. Hopefully he'll have a little bit more pop. He only had 1 home run, but Jonah Bride was solid, I think, in the 280s. But Chris Cullen was, 238. And if Chris Cullen can come out and hit 280 and maybe hit 5 to 8 home runs and drive in some guys, but we got to be able to protect John Jones and Alex Destino. And I think it's, hopefully incoming freshman Carlos Cortez could be good. He's certainly been good in the spring and been good in the fall inter squads. I just think that that's my biggest question mark, because if you look at the lineup, there were several times last year where I felt like looking up and down that lineup, I go, God, there's only 1 or 2 guys. And of course I'm looking at it from a pitcher's perspective, but I'm thinking, wow, there's really only 1 or 2 guys I feel like that could hurt me. And that's not good. So hopefully there's going to be some guys who can put the ball out of the ballpark, or if not, they're going to have to make sure that they're, not swinging for the fences, that they're obviously gap-to-gap guys and know their roles. I mean, again, you don't have to have a team that's going to bang it out. I mean, look back to the Justin Smoke days. I mean, gosh, those teams were bombers. I mean, they were, with Phil Disher and those guys, I mean, they were hitting bomb after bomb, but it didn't relate to them winning a national championship at the time, So that's not the ingredient necessarily to win a national championship. This team's got the mold. They got to get together, and that can overcome a lot of insufficiencies. It truly can. But the biggest question marks for me definitely are on the offensive side for me for South Carolina baseball, and hopefully they'll. I'm certainly not. It's just question marks. I'm certainly not being negative or saying that I don't believe that they can be good. It's just what we've seen a year ago and what we know we have coming back. Hopefully there's been some big jumps, and I certainly think there will be some guys that have made some jumps, and we'll see who they are.
It seems Holbrook is still ironing out exactly how this team will line up defensively, but the Gamecocks appear to have one of the most versatile rosters in the country. They've got a number of hitters that can play multiple positions, so Holbrook's got plenty of options to consider as he makes out the lineup. And, this is something we'll continue to monitor as the season goes on. Kip, we got a lot to learn about this Gamecock team here in 2017, but that's the case every time a new season rolls around. There's questions that will be answered starting today with this 3-game weekend set against UNC Greensboro. Kip, we got beautiful weather here in the capital city, 72 degrees for first pitch today, a 4 o'clock start on this Friday afternoon against UNC Greensboro. Great to have baseball back with us, and it's great to have you back on Gamecock Central Radio. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here, and go Gamecocks for the rest of the year. And I have to send a special shout-out to my good friend and longtime fan, Mr. Bill Golden, who's in heaven now watching us. I'm going to give him a big ooh, ooh, go, Cock!
All right, yeah, the Golden family, thoughts and prayers are with them. A big loss for the Gamecock Nation with Bill Golden passing away last week. Tremendous Gamecock fan and one that Gamecock baseball fans know very well. So a couple of newcomers that we didn't touch on today. Chris Cortez, one of the top high school players in the state of Florida last year, will be a new player with the Gamecocks. He could be a contributor this year as an impact hitter. And JUCO transfer Jacob Olson is another one. So we'll keep an eye on those two this weekend. We'll come back next week. We'll have more Gamecock baseball talk. For Kip Bouknight, I'm Emerson Phillips. Thanks for joining us on Gamecock Central Radio.